Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is John Regan. We live at 10 2nd Avenue in Weequahic. I'm speaking basically as a former resident of the city of Elgin in Illinois, which has had a historic commission since the 1970s. The city itself goes back to the 1830s and a wealth of historic buildings, structures, places. The city's been actively preserving. And as a result of setting up a historic commission, the city of Elgin's been eligible for state and federal grants over all those intervening years and has been very successful. There's quite a lot on the web about the preservation efforts in the city of Elgin. I've been on the, was on the commission, historic commission in Elgin for 10 years. So I'm very familiar with the work the historic commission can do. And I'm speaking here because the city of Harbor Springs did enact in its code in 1982 the ability to create a historic commission. And the code actually says on the first day of January 1982, the city of Harbor Springs shall appoint members to the historic commission. This apparently has never happened, or at least I've been unaware of it. And I'm advocating in favor of it because I think it can be a substantial benefit to the city if you both follow the code and become an active participant in the preservation of the history of the city. There are a lot of people in and around this area that are very interested in that topic and would be willing to actively support you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Chief.
Good afternoon. Just two things to offer today. First of all, you're going to see all of us officers looking a little scruffy for the next month. We do No Shave November and awareness for cancer, and each officer has to contribute a certain amount of money in order to grow some type of facial hair. Seeing how they're all in their young 30s, they're struggling with it a little bit, but it'll be gray and look not very good. And my wife will be glad when this is here. But we did. We're going to donate that money to a local cancer patient, and you'll see us all through Merchants Open House night. We'll have some facial hair. And the other thing I just want to touch base. So last week we responded to with our Marine Patrol boats, and that seems to be a topic to a water rescue. I think it was last Wednesday. Early evening. It was almost dark out there. A sail surfer got lost out there, and we got a call. So we responded with our boat. We were able to locate him on the shore, but we did receive a call from the Coast Guard because they were about ready to launch their helicopter. And they just wanted to tell us that they appreciate the fact that we had a boat, because every time they put that helicopter in there, it's thousands and thousands of dollars. And so why it's at our expense, but they did appreciate the fact that they didn't have to do that. So I want to say that because I think it's important that we continue our Marine Patrol. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Doesn't seem to be working, so it's fine. Good afternoon. My name is Danny Rodert. I'm the chair of the city's park board, but I come to this podium as a resident of Harbor Springs who lives year round with my family at 480 East Main Street. Thank you for allowing public comment today. As some of you know, for the last year, we're in some change. I've operated a Facebook page known as We Love Harbor Springs Too. I attempted in my effort to be kind and accurate to address the vast majority of comments personally. I've tried to understand those who may disagree and where they come from. Sometimes I wonder if any of it matters, but I think we've contributed some. This past week, I was told by somebody far smarter than me that, like you, Mr. Mayor, I should try to build some. I would counter I have. Along with my wife, Sarah, and our kids, our family and friends, we have built a beautiful and fulfilling life here in Harbor Springs, one I'm proud of. Each of us have our own definitions of success. For me, a happy family is really all I need. But I will add that we are worried about the future of Harbor Springs. That concern is why we spend time volunteering on boards and commissions. And it's why I've spent a year writing nearly once a day, calling for the city to build something for all, not just a very few loud voices. Our town is mimicking the national political environment. I know many of us took comfort thinking that the division on display in Washington would never make it to a town of 1,200, but here we are. Last year, we spent $57.53 a vote to repeal the zoning code. No other candidate or ballot initiative in Michigan spent as much per vote. I would guess not many in the country spent $58 a vote. And yet we still don't know who funded that effort, because for the second election cycle in a row, they have not filed a single required form since they were organized. Election laws can be complicated, but they are not merely suggestions. They are intended to be guardrails that protect us and the integrity of our elections. Candidates for city council who spent over $1,000 are required to file disclosures. There was a deadline for filing on October 24th. I wonder if anyone on this council directly donated to any of their other candidates. The guardrails do not hold if they are ignored. Last Thursday, Mayor, you and Councilwoman Reed met with the city clerk with a former city manager, Tom Richards, and that meeting was not disclosed to the other members of the council. Was any suggestion made to fire or replace the current manager? Were any of the suggestions about hiring new staff in the context of ongoing litigation with Andrew Potter? Our city charter serves as our city's constitution. It's the final guardrail to protect residents. It is voted on and approved by us all. Section 4.6 reads, neither shall any member of the council direct or request the appointment of any person or the removal of any person from any employment or office for which the city manager is responsible. This section is one of the only parts of the charter whose violation can result in a removal from office. That meeting last week was serious. The rule of law is at risk nationally. Our institutions are broken. It's up to us here in Harbor Springs to decide if the rules mean something. I know we can continue to build a kind and generous city, but only if we all follow by the same rules. Thank you.
Don't see any hands on Zoom. Oh, sorry.
Hi, Dan Mulder, 372 West Summit, and I would like to be the second person to say how much I miss Victor. I think he was an excellent manager. It's our huge loss as a community, and I hope the people that were trying to get him fired responsible for this. There was a group that actively said that is our goal. Anyways, wish him the best of luck. He's a wonderful man, and we'll miss him greatly. I'd also like to echo what Danny just said. When secret meetings occur, you have to wonder if something going wrong, that's wrong, sorry. It's a small town and word gets around, and I would like to ask that the remaining members of city council take this issue up and discuss, and perhaps ask Jim Raymer to look into whether any stipulations in the city ordinance were broken, any laws were broken, open meeting act were broken. And then I guess go from there. Thank you.
Anyone else at this time? Ms. Karen.
I'm Karen Charles Donnelly, 604 Ann Street. I'm going to echo what other people have already said. I'm really sad that Victor's leaving us. He made a significant contribution to our city, managing the budgets, preparing agendas for city council and other commission meetings. He played a major role in enhancing our city parks, which now thrive with activity, including disc golf, yoga in the park, the skate park, the Western Boardwalk, revitalization of Death Hill, among many other things. Having served on 3 different boards and commissions over the last few years, I witnessed firsthand the contributions he made in preparing us for our meetings. Summit County, Colorado is really lucky to have us. What saddens me even more is that Victor's decision to leave was very likely influenced by the divisiveness that has grown within our community. Having lived here in the city for over 30 years, I've never seen anything quite like this. While occasional conflicts and disagreements about direction have arisen in the past, the current atmosphere is unprecedented and alarming. After dedicating over 1,500 hours in serious work for an updated zoning code and holding multiple public meetings, the issue continues to be contested. This leads me to wonder how much more can be done to bring our town together. If the situation persists, what challenges might await us in the future? It's important to not acknowledge that those who reside outside our city limits are in fact valuable to our town, and we do need their input. Moving forward, we need to look ahead. It's essential to appoint a new city manager who can be as effective as Victor has been. I strongly recommend hiring a professional search team that specializes in recruiting individuals for city management positions. The new manager should not be a local candidate or prior candidate with established relationship or a personal agenda that might conflict with the best interests of our operations. We are fortunate to have capable leaders who currently work under Victor, and we hope they will continue to serve the city in the same capacity. However, choosing the wrong person for this critical role could result in the loss of experienced staff members, which would jeopardize the future of our city. Thank you.
Anyone else at this time?
I don't see anything on the screen, Mayor.
Have approval of the agenda?
I would like to amend the agenda to add another discussion item as 4B to include the meeting that happened last Thursday between Tom Graham, Wendy Reed, Nick Whitaker, and Tom Richards.
That's a motion, correct?
I'll second. God, I'll second.
Bob Buckner,
Yes.
Tom Graham.
Yes.
Wendy Reed.
Yes.
Kathy Macho.
Yes.
Jamie Milton.
Yes.
Motion carried to approve the agenda as amended. I think next up would be the consent agenda.
We have any comment? Bills or?
I have a question really quick about the traffic control. Are people allowed to park trailers on that for construction purposes?
Well,
Because that
well,
happened today.
The order doesn't take effect
Right.
until you guys pass it. Once it passes, there'll be no parking at all. That was my concern about that stretch. So
Yeah, okay.
once that ordinance is passed, there'll be no parking at all. And
Thank you.
I believe because they have the signs ready to go.
Okay, perfect. I would move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Wendy Reeve,
Yes.
Jamie Milky,
Yes.
Tom Graham,
Yes.
Kathy Macho,
Yes.
Bob Buckner.
Yes.
Motion carried. All right, well, moving on to the discussion items. There's no other discussion on the consent agenda. The first item on the amended agenda will be in Jeff's wheelhouse amendment to the noise ordinance. I'll let you take this from there.
I won't rehash things too much, but I did notice a potential concern between the zoning code and the requirements of where structures could be placed with setbacks and the noise ordinance as it relates to property owners that opt to place a generator. We could see situations, I've seen a heightened increase in people wanting to place generators on their property post the ice storm. And we're running into situations where the zoning code says, hey, you could put a generator here and I would approve the zoning permit. But then in a situation where they would actually turn that generator on and use it to provide electricity to their home, it may be in a position where the noise level of that generator violates the noise ordinance of the city code. I think realistically, I don't think it's the intent of city council in a situation like the ice storm that we had, where I would be knocking on somebody's door during a power outage and telling them that they have to turn off their generator because it's too loud, right? So I felt that it was appropriate to at least promote the discussion to, we have a number of other exceptions for various situations, and that we include an exception during power outages that generators would be exempt from the noise ordinance. If you feel that that's appropriate, Jim Reamer and I can look into wording that would be added to the code.
I think anybody with a generator turn it on anyway. It didn't have electricity.
There may be instances with generators that are permanently installed that like on a weekly basis, they might fire up in like a test mode once a week for about 20 minutes. Generally, that noise level is much quieter than when it's fully running to actually power the home. I don't think that that noise from that would be at the height level that we would need to have an exception for that. But that would be the only other time that I would see that them operating.
Certainly makes sense to me.
Does to me as well. On the test runs, I'm assuming that if it does become prohibitively noisy, it would be in violation of the code at that point in time, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So I think what we're really being asked to do is consider if there is a significant power outage, could we allow that the noise levels to exceed 70 decibels? I think I hear you. Yeah, I agree. I think it makes all the sense.
I think it makes sense. Is there a wide variation in the, how much noise the generator
So predominantly what I'm seeing, you know, when applicants come in with a zoning application for a generator, what I'm seeing is a lot of them will include the spec sheet. And that spec sheet will list what the decibel level of the generator is. And predominantly what I'm seeing is the decibel level that they list will be 67 decibels. And our zone or our city ordinance for noise is 70. So it seems like, oh, that's under the noise level. But it's 67 decibels when measured at 23 feet away. Right? So, and we have cases where if somebody wants to put it in their side yard, it may only be 8 to 10 or 15 feet away from the property line, which is where we would measure that from. So in that close proximity, it might range higher than 70. When they go into test mode, it's generally quieter. What I'm typically seeing for the test modes is that it's about 57 decibels. And so I'm making a guess here, or at least a slightly educated one, that, you know, at that proximity, it would still probably not be at the point of hitting that 70 decibel limit.
Thanks.
I'd like to make a motion to include an exception for, to the 70 decibel noise limit for generators during power outages.
I will second.
Tom Graham,
Yes.
Kathy Macho,
Yes.
Jamie Melky,
Yes.
Bonnie Reed,
Yes.
and Bob Buckner.
Yes.
Motion carried, so that will give direction to have,
We'll present an ordinance at the next meeting.
very good. Thank you. All right, newly added addition of item B. We don't have anything on, so. Councilperson Melky.
I think that this council and the public deserves to know what happened at this meeting. The meeting being 5 days before the election with Nick Whitaker, our city clerk. We deserve to know what went on at the meeting, who was there, and why it was called. So.
I called the meeting after reading the newspaper and reading my emails. I thought that Victor was quitting. And so what do you do? It became obvious to me that we need to hire a new city manager or an interim or something, so talked to Nick and we thought it would make sense to have a meeting, and all we discussed was should we get an interim or advertise one, or how it's handled. And Tom is helpful, he's been in that process, so he's the guy we've known for a long time. Everybody knows who he is. He was a manager here for years. No decision was made, nothing more than just, hey, we're gonna have to do something. Didn't agree on anything other than, I assume at this meeting we come up with a plan to hire somebody to look into replacements.
You speak into the mic.
Sure. Assume at this meeting, and then we would start the process of replacing him and probably accepting his resignation. No more, no less, that's all it was. Because it's an emergency situation, he's quitting on December 16th, we need to get started before then, looking for somebody else.
I guess I don't understand why you would hold the meeting with people, with other people. Why didn't you just meet with Nick on your own when the whole council is gonna have to make this decision? This is going to be a whole council's decision as to the process and the candidates and what we're going to do. And the council that is going to make this decision, we don't know who it is yet. It's not gonna happen until tomorrow. So I don't know why this was such an emergency that there had to be a secret meeting held with people that were not disclosed prior to meeting on this topic.
We also told me about what we should do. What did you think we had to do when you brought up Nick?
It was clear in the email with his resignation that this is something that the next council is going to deal with, and that the council as a whole should make this decision.
Here we are.
This isn't the council that's gonna make the decision. There are two people coming off this council as of next Monday.
I'm aware of that.
My concern is that, well, number one, I don't understand why there was a rush to have this meeting. I do not understand the inclusion of someone who has not been the city manager for many years. And the fact that he was included in this seems inappropriate at best. I just don't understand, and apparently the meeting was an hour and a half. I can't believe that it took an hour and a half to find out that, yeah, we need to appoint somebody.
That's what I thought when he resigned, we should start looking right now. Nobody else called me about it, so I thought.
So 3 days later, which is 3 business days later, the next city council meeting, that was too long to wait, you thought?
No, but it's time to get started. What were your thoughts?
I thought it would be approached as a full council.
That's what we're here for today, I think.
Well, it's not on the agenda.
I do think the town seems to be buzzing, Tom, over this issue. Unbelievably, I went into Johann's today to just buy some milk, and there was a table of 5 or 6 men sitting around talking about this meeting, and I think it's just raised a lot of concern and suspicion about, was there anything going on at the meeting that shouldn't be going on? I think that, I assume you probably were party to the emails that had been sent to council people. I know I've received several expressing concerns about, what's up with this meeting, what happened. So, I mean, I feel like we have an obligation to at least explore the topic with you.
Not one person called me about it or sent me an email.
Really? Well, I got several. Did anybody else, council, get? No.
I got emails, and I also want to say that I didn't call you because this is clearly something that should be dealt with when we get a new council, because this is a decision that is going to be made with the next council, not this council. So there was no rush to have a meeting. There was no rush to have a conversation about what we were going to do.
I thought it was, I thought different.
Was it a concern of yours at all that you had asked Richards to be at this meeting, who is a party to a lawsuit that the city has been involved in for several years? And was that appropriate to have that meeting?
I think it
with
was.
him?
It's just. I'm a little new at this job. City manager, of course, what he's supposed to sit around and wait.
No, but there are professionals, the Michigan Municipal League. There are, I think, other ways to approach this. And at a minimum, contacting the balance of the current council, I think would have been appropriate.
I also think discussing hiring somebody new with somebody who doesn't deal with HR is not the appropriate method. Whenever we have hired a city manager in the past, Jim Raymer has been a part of the process. The city clerk is not a part of the process of hiring and firing, except for people that work underneath him. So meeting with him about this in an official capacity seems like it is questionable. I understand if it was a meeting where it was just you two and you wanted to know his experience of what happened the last time, but that wasn't the case. You had 2 city council people there and you had a private citizen who should not know all of this information before the council knows this information.
Well, I thought he would be helpful. He's been involved in hiring city managers.
He's never hired a city manager. He was the city manager. He was hired, but he didn't do any hiring.
Somebody was involved when Victor was hired a little bit, maybe not. Anyway, the intention was not to disrupt anybody. It was well intended, maybe it didn't work out that.
Actually, it was intended, we are charged with protecting the interest of the city. So the first question and the reason to meet with Mr. Whitaker was to ask about any ongoing projects and where we stand with them and the health of the city. Is there anything that we have to be concerned about? So that was the first thing on our agenda, was to talk about that, and we did. And then we asked, since none of us on this council and none of us on any new council going forward has ever hired a city manager, what is going to be the process to do that? And Mr. Whitaker has been present for that. And Mr. Richards has been present. He's been a person who went through that. So our questions for them was, what is the best way to go forward with this? We're just looking for information. We're not making any decisions. We're simply looking for an education that we can then share with everyone else. And when I spoke to you about it on Friday, Ms. Melky, I told you this, and you said, well, what would happen? How would you feel if Kathy Machel and I sat down with Victor and Nick? And I said, I think that would be you doing your job, and I would applaud it.
So Wendy, and I'm not making any accusations here at all, the common theme in the communications that have been voiced to me, the thing that seems to have people most concerned about the meeting is what was the intent behind having Mr. Richards at the meeting. And you say that you were thinking about the well-being of the city and protecting the city, and I believe you. But surely you can understand how some people might have a concern about that, given the fact that he's a witness in a lawsuit against the city.
I've never thought of him as a witness in that lawsuit.
He most definitely is.
Yes.
Jim, can you confirm that?
So say that again,
Can
Jen.
you confirm if Tom Richards is a witness in the lawsuit?
He is a what?
So I was unaware that he was a witness in that lawsuit. That lawsuit has not been discussed very much with this city council. I don't have access to the documents. I've never seen it, so I'm not aware that he is a witness.
You asked for all of the documents from Victor when you first got elected, and he sent the entire council all of the documents that he could share with us.
That doesn't mean I read them.
And you're a councilman?
I also believe that the charter says that the council should deal solely with the city manager, and until December 16th, Victor is the city manager. So to reach out to somebody who is not in charge of hiring and firing, and to have those discussions with somebody is just, like, I don't understand how that was something that you thought was appropriate when that is not Nick's job. Nick's job is not to hire or fire. He could be eligible to be an interim city manager, and you have now had a closed door meeting with him with 2 council people. Don't you think that that could jeopardize the ability for him to serve as interim city manager?
No,
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Could you go to the podium? Thank you.
Rick Tarczynski, 465 State Street. And you were concerned about the legality of this and where the city would stand. Why wasn't the city attorney consulted instead of some outsider? It would seem an obvious thing for me to do that Jim would have been there. Thank you.
Good, hastily called the formal meeting, that's what it was.
Did you discuss firing Victor before his last day on December 16th in this meeting?
No. Talk about the procedure and getting a replacement.
Nick responded.
yeah,
Nick, can you tell us if it was discussed to let Victor go before December 16th?
I don't really know that I want to get into what he said, she said here. This is a meeting that was called by the mayor. Do I recall what happened at the meeting? Yes, of course I do. I would defer to Jim of whether I should comment as to what transpired or not. I'm not a council member. I was invited for questions.
I think if you're asking a question about what happened at the meeting, you should respond.
If I recollect, yes, the topic was discussed very briefly. And it was deemed that it would be wiser for the city to let Victor's term transpire on his retirement. Period.
I do not understand, as I look back at the charter, why the mayor and the city council member Reeve would not have gone to the city manager himself to ask him what the process was to replace him. He was still, he's still here, he's still employed, and the charter clearly says council goes to the city manager when there are issues. It says inquiries that involve the city clerk can be taken to him, and certainly budget matters. But otherwise, these issues should be taken directly to the city manager. And I don't understand why that wasn't done.
I assumed he was out of town.
At the meeting.
Doesn't really, that doesn't sound like an adequate answer. Well, he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
in town, as a matter of fact, I believe.
Surprise. I know that till now. All I know is I get an email. Assuming he was out of town taking a different job. So the email is about.
Was there discussion of John Richards being selected? There again. Was there discussion of Tom Richards being selected either as the interim city manager or as the city manager? Or as Andy Potter having any position with the city in the future?
I don't know, there's no discussion by Andy Potter. Tom made it real clear he's retired, he can stay retired, period.
And he was that responding to you asking if he would take one of those positions?
No, we were just talking about hiring somebody that, I don't remember the words, but he was not interested.
Get your recollection that
I don't know that it was specifically pointed to Tom Richards as asking him if he would be interested in a job. If it did, I don't recollect that. But he did say that he is completely 100% retired.
Carol Leonard, 141 Snyder Street, Fulton resident. I guess I'll follow up with Deanna's. Was there any conversation about Andy in any way, shape, or form mentioned during?
No,
Sorry, I'm just trying to get an answer because there are apparently no notes from the meeting, and as Jamie and others indicated, no one else on city council was invited or told.
There would be no notes because there was not a quorum. That's the sidebar. As far as the question of Andrew Potter's name was, it was.
So just for clarification, Tom Richards I believe hired Andy Potter, I believe. Tom Richards is a witness in a lawsuit that the city's been dealing with for years. And then Andy Potter's name comes up in the meeting that Tom and Wendy and Nick have with Tom Richards. That doesn't sound to me at all.
Audrey Potter, 120 East Summit Street. Based on all the items that have been flying around town with regards to candidates for the election tomorrow, and some of the things that I've seen put out that are whether appropriate or inappropriate. Mr. Mayor, I want to know, why did you just invite Wendy to the meeting and not the rest of the council?
you can only have 2 people at a meeting. You can't have a closed door meeting with 3 council members.
So that sounds to me like you had some intentions there. Thank you.
Into the butt. Up at this time?
Jim, is there anything that you feel that we need to do to decide if this has in any way gotten in the way of the election and or violation of the charter?
Turn on the microphone.
Well, I have not been asked to look into this. I guess my initial reaction is that it doesn't have any effect on the election. I mean, other than the fact that it occurred, and it seems like it's fairly common knowledge that this meeting did occur. Is it a violation of the charter? I wouldn't think it would be necessarily. Was it the wisest thing in the world to do? No, absolutely not.
Are there any things you would recommend for us to do to move forward and make these decisions?
And when you say make these decisions, what do you mean, Jim?
I think that it's clear that this council feels betrayed and that we are not comfortable with what transpired in this secret meeting that was held 5 days before the election. And when these 2 candidates or these 2 councilmen are very, very open about who they are supporting in this election, I don't think that any of this sounds right. It doesn't appear right.
As Jim told you, none of this has anything to do with the election. And I'll read you from the Open Meetings Act handbook, advisory committees in the OAM. The OAM does not apply to committees and subcommittees composed of less than a quorum of full public body. if they are merely advisory or only capable of making recommendations concerning the exercise of governmental authority. We were simply fact finding, which I think is the job of all of city council members to talk to any citizen at any time on any subject that is of concern. We didn't fire Victor. Victor resigned. This meeting was held 2 days after we received his resignation. So we are concerned about the position the city is in and the health of the city. That's all. We were simply asking Mr. Whitaker and Mr. Richards for advice.
So any two council members can create their own subcommittee to discuss who we are going to hire for the next city manager and the process.
No, we were not discussing who we are going to hire for the next, we were asking for advice as to how to go about the process because none of us have done it. No one has done it.
Except for Jim Raymer, Matt Bagheera, Al Dyka. I don't know if Bill Brown, have you had any experience with this? People who are not a part of a lawsuit with the city that
So-
have been a part of a process, because Tom Richards was not part of a hiring of a city manager process.
So if you had called a meeting with Mr. Brown and Ms. Motchel and Nick Whitaker, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
But I didn't, because that's not right.
I
That's
see what you're
clearly not,
doing your job.
that is clearly not the role, and that would be, I think, a violation of the spirit of the Open Meetings Act.
May I ask, Nick, did you discuss the ongoing projects in the city or the budget of the city at this meeting?
Briefly at the beginning, yes, Councilperson Reeve asked if things that we're looking forward. Time frame wise on the hiring process, it's gonna impede projects. Nothing to talk about the budget at all.
I guess the one concern I have, Wendy, about your comment is I'm struggling with the fact that as the meeting was represented, when we asked Nick to clarify or to verify, he could do that on a couple of issues. So it concerns me that we don't know what we don't know, as far as what transpired in that meeting.
In order for something to transpire, we would have to make a decision. We didn't make any decisions. We can't. We're only two. We're not a forum. We can't arrive at a
I
decision.
think that's part of the
We
concern.
can't arrive at a recommendation either, and we're not making one, are we?
Have you met with any of the candidates of the upcoming election over these issues?
As Mr. Raymer told you, this has nothing to do with the election. And no, I have not.
Did either of you make an attempt to contact the other members of the council after this meeting to let us know what you had learned?
I spoke to Ms. Melky on Friday, maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I called her personally myself and told her that this rumor is running around town and I want to squash it as much as I can right now and assure her that we didn't do this to exclude her. I would have been happy to have all of us at this meeting. But how do you do that?
But you didn't invite, you didn't suggest that.
How do I do it? And I don't want to say that I'm trying to get around the Open Meetings Act, but you're kind of splitting hairs there because you can't have a meeting with all of us together.
Nick, how many hours do you need in advance to call a special meeting of the city council?
18, I believe.
So 18 hours before this meeting, the mayor could have said, I want to have a special meeting involving the entire city council. And we could have all been there.
Well, knowing what I know now, I would have supported doing that, but we didn't do that. We didn't know that we could do that.
I think that if you would have reached out to the city manager, who would have advised you, or even just Jim Raymer, he would have advised you that that was an option.
I just want to read from section 4.6 of the city's charter, which is our constitution approved by the citizens of Harbor Springs. That says, the council and its members in administrative matters shall deal solely with the manager. And neither the council nor any member thereof shall give orders to any subordinate employee of the city, either publicly or privately. Neither shall any member of the council direct, request the appointment of any person or the removal of any person from any employment office for which the city manager is responsible.
Mr. Whitaker, did we do any of that in this meeting?
You want to make a decision?
Suggest.
No decision.
You did talk to the city manager,
Did
which is.
Did we order the removal of any
No,
employee?
there was no orders.
Did we suggest the hiring of any employee?
No.
But again, why didn't anyone reach out to the city manager who you are supposed to talk to about anything before this meeting happened? Because I would imagine that he would have advised you to hold a meeting with the entire council, giving an 18-hour notice. I mean, I think the charter is clear that you are supposed to deal with the city manager, and I don't know, how often do you talk to the city manager, Wendy?
I say hello when I walk into the room.
Frankly, didn't know he was in town, I assumed in the newspaper and the email that he was not around.
You definitely could have reached out to him and asked before you reached out to another employee. I also want to ask how you can do what's best for the city without ever talking to the city manager, when your role as a city council person is to solely deal with the city manager. That is the oath you took when you took this office, to deal with the city manager in all administrative ways.
We were well intended, trying to do what's right, to get the job done. All I can say.
Mr. Mayor, Lisa Nickel, 638 West Bluff Drive. To let everyone know, there is a FOIA request that has gone out to all the city council members. We need that to get filled out and have that request returned ASAP and fully returned.
I'm Gail Brown. I live at 251 East Main Street. And sitting in the audience and listening, and two council people say they didn't know. They didn't know that was a rule. They didn't know it was a policy. It's an embarrassment to me as a resident of Harbor Springs. I sit on the DDA. I chair the DDA, and there are some city council members that will take issue with everything a board says, a volunteer board. And this is not acceptable. I am sorry.
Yeah, Leo, 510 West Summit Street. Also, as a observer of what's going on here, I find it makes me angry and it makes me worried. People around town, residents and non-residents, are talking about what went wrong, what really happened. The three members of the council, Frank, feel betrayed. The two council members that participated don't seem to be taking it terribly seriously. It's okay if I don't know who it is, it's okay if I thought that is the upset of it. I don't want to put Nick on the spot. Because he was, as I understand it, the original meeting was set up between Nick and the mayor. So the arrival of, Councilman Reeves and Tom Richards was a surprise to him. Okay, that's bushwhacking in my parlance. So not put Nick on the spot, but I think what would be appropriate to deal with the issues and the questions that are being asked is to request that he make his written statement about how the meeting was followed, what was discussed, who participated, what was. There were no decisions made, but that doesn't excuse behavior. And I think that next write-up should go to the city attorney to be reviewed, to see if there is in fact something that violated the charter. My impression from, I know, and I was not a participant, is that there was. So let's stop nitpicking, making light jokes about, I didn't know, let's find out.
Jim, would that be an appropriate request, or would it be an appropriate request to ask that all three participants give you a summary of what they recollect from the meeting and have you look at it and report back to city council?
You could certainly ask that, certainly if the council directs Nick as a, as a body, directs Nick to do that, he will do it. You can't compel another council person to do it. If the council as a body asks Nick, he should do it.
I would move to request that Nick writes up a summary of the meeting as he recollects it, and recommend that Tom and Wendy also write up a summary of the meeting and turn it into Attorney Jim Raymer, and that we meet on Friday at noon, November 7th, to hear Jim's summary.
I will second.
We're going on a limb and say probably a roll call is in order here. Kathy Macho,
Yes.
David Melky,
Yes.
Bob Buckner,
Yes.
Wendy Reeve,
Yes, except I have an issue with the date.
Tom Graham.
Yes.
So we do have a motion and a support to move forward with a full roll call. But it sounds like we might have issue with dates.
Well, since I have to squeeze my vacation in between two city council meetings, I'm leaving tomorrow morning for Florida, and I don't get back until the 16th. After the next city council meeting.
I personally don't think that this can wait. It has to be. I personally don't think that this can wait until the next city council meeting. I think that this is an issue that happened on this city council's watch, and I think that this city council deserves the answers. And I mean, if there's gonna be a quorum, it doesn't matter if everyone is here or not, the motion is approved.
Yes, the motion is approved, so with it as stated, so November 7th is the date. I apologize.
Did we set a time?
Noon.
I will not be here on that day.
Well, then we can amend the motion. Is there a time that you would be available that day, or
I'm out of town that day. I'm going to a family
In-
reunion.
you give us your summary?
How about Thursday? I would be happy to redo.
I could do Thursday.
If that information gets to me, I can do that.
This is up to council at this point. So you're amending your original motion from November
I am-
7th. That
Amending my original motion to say November 6th at 3 p.m.
I'll just do another roll call
I'll
on it
second.
because it is an amended motion. Tom Graham,
Yes,
Bob Buckner.
Yes.
Bernie Reeve,
Well, since I'm one of the people who's charged with this, I would like to be present when we do it.
Yeah.
And you were willing to change your date to accommodate Mr. Raymer, but you're not willing to change your date to accommodate me.
I cannot change the date in which this council is done with their term.
when do you want to be on, you can do it with Zoom, but
Yes, I can.
Tom Graham. You're the last one, yes. So amended motion to hold a meeting on November 6th at 3 p.m. here at council chamber. Anything else on the topic? We can move on to the city manager's report.
I think we're ready for that. You do that in your room? Ooh.
I can do it, Jim, or Jeff.
Please.
Several of the substation material bids are due November 4th and will be brought to you guys at council for selection on the 17th of November. City has begun the recruitment process for city boards. All existing board members whose terms expire in 2025 have the option to reapply. A notice has been given to the general public on the available positions. Obviously, you want more, anybody wants more information on that under boards and commissions on the city website under the government tab, you'll see the link. Victor stated here he is currently working on the draft capital improvement plan. And he did not, he was waiting for project scoring from Mayor Graham and Councilman Member Reeve, which I have here in front of me. Council should initiate the hiring process for the next city manager. Most cities use an extensive and executive search consultant that oftentimes involve extensive community input and public participation. Then he commented on the fact that there was a meeting that happened on last Thursday that we've been discussing. Other than that, that's all that I have for his city manager report. So for the commissions, I don't think there's anything at this point that needs to be appointed or filled. Unless anybody wants to comment on the meetings that they were at.
We did. Planning Commission did meet, Nick, on October 21st. We reviewed several changes to the code update, I should say. The purpose of the meeting was to ensure that the changes that were recommended prior to the meeting are accurately reflected in the draft of the code. And we are, I say we, I'm not on the Planning Commission anymore after the, I guess, 10. But the Planning Commission on Thursday, November 13th is going to meet to hold a public hearing of the draft to the zoning ordinance update. So that's the extent of the meeting.
Anything else?
In the newsletter, it says that fall cleanup ends the second week of November. And that's about 10 days from now, and we still have a significant amount of leaves on the trees, and I'm wondering if you don't want to extend that by week basis and reassess how these are.
Yeah, I know the answer here, but I'll let Lucas comment on that.
Lucas Vanderzee, Director of the Department of Public Works. We always have had the second week of November be the tentative date, just because sometimes we get a foot of snow between Halloween and that week. Now, anyone that has been here for a long time knows that we will pick up leaves basically throughout deer season, all that stuff. We pick them up in December. It's much easier for us to get them before the snow and not the spring, so we work basically until we can't because of the weather to pick up the leaves, so there should be no concern on leaf pickup.
Thank you, Lucas. Okay, we're all business, I want to speak about. Guess we're adjourned then.